Welcome to Sausage on a Fork, a podcast dedicated to the UK's longest running children's drama programme, Grange Hill. My name's Neil, and in each episode I'll interview a former cast member about their life before, during and after their time on the programme. Okay, welcome to the latest episode of Sausage on a Fork, and I am absolutely delighted to say that I have been joined for this episode by none other than David Bell, who played Big Tel Parker. David, welcome to Sausage on a Fork.
Thank you very much for inviting me on, Neil. I'm very grateful to you.
Oh, not at all, not at all. What we'll do, David, is we'll start this episode the way we start every episode. And if you could tell us how you first got into acting.
Yeah, of course. I did drama at school and found out very early on that it was a hell of a lot easier doing drama than it was doing maths or it was doing... So I kind of naturally gravitated towards it. And then with that in mind, my poor old mum used to have to drag me around to a couple of drama classes when I was a little kid. And it kind of went itself from there. And I ended up, I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but I ended up with this kind of drama coach who was also an agent, and her name was Stella Greenfield, and she was a smashing old lady. She was. I liked her a lot, and so I'd go to Stella's for an hour a week and try and learn how to speak Shakespeare, which I wasn't very good at. But she was an agent, and so I started doing little bits and pieces through her. But primarily, it was a way of doing as little real work at school as possible.
Right, okay. Fair play. You had this agent then. So I'm going to have to say it because I say this every week. When I looked at your IMDb page, I know IMDb is not the most reliable source of information, but your IMDb page only has one acting credit on it, which is Grange Hill. So did you get any other work before then?
No, not at all. But at the end of the interview, I'll direct you to my other IMDb page, but we can come to that.
Right, okay.
No, I didn't really. I went to auditions. I think I was in you'll have to forgive me because I've gone. We're talking about a long time ago here.
Yeah.
With all the people that you interview, and my memory isn't too good on it, but I do have a recollection of being in a commercial.
Right.
But I can't guarantee what it was or what it was about. But no, not really. No, I did go to a few auditions, but I didn't really crack on with anything.
No, but does that, I mean, as a kid, does that not put you off, like when you're going and you're not getting them, or was it just a case of, well, I'll get the next one, or I'll just go to the next one because at least I'm not doing maths?
But it was pretty much that, Neil. I didn't take it massively seriously. Right. It wasn't massively serious for me. I wasn't the best at sports, unlike me, my brother and my older brother, who was very good at cricket and football. So I didn't have the kind of extracurricular activities outside of school going on, and drama was just going to drama classes. It was just a bit of fun, really. So yeah. I just enjoyed it for the sake of it, rather than being that motivated to be an actor. It never really was a big passion of mine. It was just fun. I just enjoyed it. I had a couple of lads and a couple of girls from a school that I knew that did similar things, and it was more about having friendships and having a crack with the lads from school than it was anything serious.
Yeah, brilliant. Love that. Was there anyone else at the drama class who we might know of, or got bits and pieces anyway?
No, again, I was trying to think of this. I couldn't name it. I mean, Stella had an office above her house in a street just up the road from where I was, and it was very far away from the normal kind of places that the former people of Grange Hill have spoken about. Anna Shears and Sylvia Young and these kind of places. Yeah. It wasn't that kind of setup. It wasn't a school for a start. Right. You know what I mean? I went to a normal comp. So yeah, it wasn't that kind of setup. I haven't got a clue if there's anyone else in her books, to be fair. It was me and my mate Marcus, who was in Grange Hill with me. We were the only two really that went. And again, it was to do.
Yeah. So how did Grange Hill come about for you then?
I think they just They reached out, as far as I could work it out. They reached out to Stella to see if they if she could supply any extras. And I grew up in and went to school in a place called Stanmore, which is only about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes away from Elstree, Boreham Wood, where it was shot. So they were just kind of like looking to scoop up local kids just to be as extras, and that was how I got into it. I was trying to work out. I mean, you've thrown me down a massive Grange Hill rabbit hole. You have the last couple of days. I hadn't thought about Grange Hill for years, and then I saw this picture on X, I think it was, of Mr. Bronson, and stupidly just put a comment on the bottom of it, and then I've ended up here talking to you.
Right. So for a bit of context for the listeners, so today is Wednesday, the 24th of June, right? Which is, as everyone listening in the UK knows, is now the hottest day in June ever. But so that's Wednesday, the 24th of June. I got in touch with David for this interview on Sunday just gone. So that's how quick this turnaround has been, which is great because normally I'm pestering people for months on end sometimes. So just like you say, just for a bit of context, it was only Sunday when I first got in touch with you, and I've sent you, as you say, down this rabbit hole now.
It's been fun. It has. It's been a proper trip down memory lane the last 24, 48 hours. I've listened to a few of your recent podcasts, and I managed to find the episodes I was in. So I've had the embarrassment of looking myself on telly again, which is always quite fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up. It really felt the only real early memories I've got of it is we used to have to wait outside this sweet shop called Obertelli's, or just off down by Cannons Park Tube Station, and wait for the coach to turn up, and we were always the last pickup. So there'd be a coach would turn up full of screaming, horrible, smelly kids. And there was me and my mate Marcus, and we were the only two lads on this last pickup. And we'd get onto the coach, and it was just fun from the start. And then we'd get up to Elstree, and we just had the best time, Neil. We just had the absolute best time for about 2 years. You'd get a sheet through that would say how many days you were doing that week, or if you're doing anything that week, and you could be in for a day, or you could be in for 3 days, or whatever it might be. And it just carried on like that for the best part of 2 years. I think I was trying to work out. I couldn't work out. I still can't work out precisely what series I started being an extra in. I think it was series 9.
Right.
But it might have been series 10. I can't work it out exactly. I come to series 9 because, as a memento that I wasn't supposed to have, but did have, I had the Grange Hill tie and the badge from the old series. So the old grey and blue one, whichever it was, with the stripes down it, and the old Grange Hill badge sign on it.
Yeah.
But then looking at the stuff that I was looking at yesterday, and I remember being a part of it because I had that old badge and tie, but then the new badge and tie came into the series, which I think was series 10. I don't know. You're the expert. You'd have to tell me.
Right. Okay.
There was a crossover, wasn't there? There was a change in the theme tune, which I think happened the season after.
Mm-hmm.
But the old tie was replaced, wasn't it? And I definitely had the old tie and the old badge, which makes me think I was in series 9.
Right. Okay. So series 9 as well was Just Say No. Was that year?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you were around for all those types of bits, were you?
I don't know whether I was around when they did the Just Say No stuff, or whether I just remember the Just Say No stuff as a kid.
I get you.
But I've got faded memories of being around Grange Hill when they were doing the Just Say No. I wasn't involved in it in any kind of way, but I've got vague memories of it, of being around there.
Yeah.
And the only backup I've got for it, Neil, is the fact that I sold it at an auction about 10 years ago. The tie and the badge from the old season. I can't be precise about series 9. I definitely series 10, because I had a look at that yesterday, and I caught myself in the background.
Right. Okay. Fair play. Yeah.
I was definitely in it there. But yeah, that's when I think it was. I think I would have been 12, 13.
Right.
Would have been 80, 84, 85, something like that.
So the tie and the badge that you just mentioned, is that the picture you sent me the other day?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to read this. So, so David sent me a photograph the other day of his tie and his badge, but not only that, there was something that was it a letter or was it pinned up on the wall in television centre?
It was a letter handed out to all of us, a physical letter.
Right. Okay. So, because wait till you hear this letter that I'm going to read to you now. So this is a letter, and it's from. Well, I was trying to work out who it was from because I couldn't make out the signature, but it's from BBC LC Centre, so it's from the BBC, and it's just got a title at the top, Grange Hill, and then it says, on several occasions recently, someone has locked the door of one of the cubicles in the gents' toilet nearest to the lifts and then climbed out over the framework. The finger of suspicion obviously points at us. This may seem a funny joke to the perpetrator, but not to the security men who have to clamber over to unlock it, nor to the administrative staff of Elstree Centre. This is the sort of childish behaviour that gives us all a bad reputation. Please don't do it again. If I discover the culprit, he will be reported to his parents and his agents. And then, did you add the other names on the end?
I can't work it out. Yeah, there's some different names down there and there.
And Butch Glover, someone's written, and then it looks like Crispin and Yatesy have been added on there. So you can clear yourself here. Were you one of the people that was locking the toilets and climbing out after it?
Absolutely, 100%. The letter was from. I don't think you can tell from the signature there, but the letter was. It came from Ron Smedley.
Right. I thought it might have been.
And you knew you was in trouble if you were getting a letter from Ron Smedley. My God. I mean, he was terrific. He was, Ron. He was a lovely, really lovely fella, but he was the proper headmaster.
Yeah.
He had that kind of authority about him. And you knew if you were in trouble because the chaperones would tell you were in trouble, but that was more light-hearted. But if the fact that it came down to a letter from Ron Smedley, put the fear of God into all of us. But absolutely, I did it. Yeah, I remember doing it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, I remember doing it. I remember well doing it. We used to go into that set of toilets because it was the furthest away from where you were working. Right. And when you had the tuition classes, you'd do anything to get out of them. So you'd always say, I need to go to the toilet. And you'd pop down to the toilet and you'd be smoking out the toilet window in the cubicles. And you used to lock the toilet door to stop anyone going in, to stop them finding out that you'd been smoking in there.
Right. Okay.
There was a whole bunch of us would do that. You'd stand on the toilet seat, smoke your fag out the window, and then to stop anyone coming in, you'd lock the toilet door, climb over the top, and come back to your tuition class.
Brilliant, love that.
Sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to, mate. I do apologise to everyone at the BBC to climb over that toilet window.
So brilliant. So you've said that you were an excess. So you were a fan of the programme at the time, were you?
I mean, look, I've been thinking about this as well. You talk about when did I start in Grange Hill? I went to Grange Hill. My school was Grange Hill.
Right.
My school was absolutely Grange Hill. I mean, if you think about it, back then there wasn't that much in the way of representation of schools and school life, unless you were, a kind of like a black and white Etonian figure, or a kind of a more Dickensian waif kind of Oliver Twist type figure. There just wasn't anything like Grange Hill, and I don't think people can't really today understand it because this was obviously before the internet, before any form of social media, when you still had to make phone calls from phone boxes and that kind of world. It was a much different kind of time. But when Grange Hill started, it was massive, and it was my school. Right. The kids who you saw on telly were the kids at my school. We had Tucker Jenkins, we had grippers, we had the teachers. More importantly, we had the teachers like it was the PE teacher
Baxter.
Back then, Mr. Baxter.
Yeah.
We had teachers who were disciplined. I remember having things thrown at me by teachers. I remember a geography teacher would come around and he'd I remember him slamming me fingers in the top of a desk.
Wow.
And this kind of discipline there was discipline. I was caned as a kid when I was at school. And so the representation of Grange Hill was absolutely what my school was like.
Yeah.
And all of the dramas that you saw. So as a kid, you couldn't believe that you'd come home after school, and you'd be sitting there in front of the TV, and you'd be watching your life. You'd be watching your life on the telly, which is why it became such an important part of your life, which is the genius of the writing in Phil Redmond.
Yeah.
You can't speak too highly of what the man managed to create with Grange Hill. It was an extraordinary thing, especially in those early.
Hmm.
When I came into it, it was more of a fun, jokey kind of show. It had turned a lot less serious, I think. But in those first few years, it was gritty and real, and it represented exactly what life was like at school when I was at school, and
Yeah.
that's why we loved it. That's
Yeah.
exactly why we loved it, and
So
we
was
copied it. We did
yeah.
everything that they did. But it was a two-way street. Grange Hill was showing us what we did, and then we, of course, did exactly what they did at Grange Hill,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is why it was, a problem for quite a few kids to actually watch it when I was a kid.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. So what was it like then going from seeing these people on telly to then, all of a sudden you're on the coach with them or you're in a room with them? Was that weird, or was it just a case of just taking it in me stride? Like,
It was just the best thing ever. It
right.
was just, if you can imagine something that you've thought about, you thought, well, that would be a lot of fun if you did that, or I might enjoy that experience. It was that with knobs on. It was just terrific.
Yeah.
There wasn't a bad thing about it. It was you were absolutely living the dream, so to speak. It was a golden time, an absolutely golden time. It was so much better than being in school.
Yeah.
That was the primary motive. It was so much better to be in school, and you were getting paid.
Yeah.
At 13 years, I wasn't getting paid a lot. I can't remember exactly what I was getting paid. I think it might have been like 20 quid or 30 quid a day. I'm not sure, but I remember I had more money than anybody at my school when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was caused its own problems at school. I didn't. I think the other kids at my school weren't too happy and thought I was a bit above me station, I suppose. But it was as good as you could imagine it would be, but better.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just tremendous from the whole experience. The whole thing was just the best fun ever.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So you've said you were an extra to start with, and then series 11 comes around and we meet Big Tel. Or just Terry Parker, he was at first. Like, you think the Big Tel bit came in a little bit later, but the first scene that we see Big Telling is when Gon, Siggy, and Robbie were running a PE kit reminder service. The type of things that happens in every comprehensive school, I imagine. And they tried to hand Big Tel, well, as I say, he was known as Terry Parker then. They tried to hand him a reminder slip, and he asked them what they were giving it to him for. And they said because it was reminder for tomorrow. But can you remember Big Tel's response to that?
No, go on, remind
So
me, Neil. What was
he says to him, you need to give that to me mum. She sorts everything. She sorts everything out for me.
that?
He said you need to go and put that through my letterbox. And the kit reminder service then morphed into a PE kit rental service. They said they could make more money by renting out PE kits and that. And so the next time we saw Big Tel, he was with his mates, and they had older Ziggy, and they were holding him upside down
Yeah, it was Ziggy, wasn't it? Yeah,
against the wall, shaking the money out
taking the
of his
money out of his
pockets.
pocket. Yeah.
I'm going to ask, was there much choreography involved in that scene?
No, not at all. He just hooked him up. It was funny. It was funny. I mean, I got that part because I was tall. I
Yeah.
was the tallest. I think I was the tallest kid there. So they just actually came to me because they needed a big fella, a tall fella. It was as skinny as a rake if you look at it, but just a tall fella. I remember I can't remember who the director was, but I remember the director was very specific with me. He wanted me to act he wanted me to act slightly crazy. He asked me if I if I knew. I think it was one of the characters in a thing called Mash. If you remember Mash,
Oh yeah, yeah.
there was a crazy character in it, and he would kind of like bark and grunt and make weird kind of noises and stuff. And I didn't have a clue what the fella was talking about, so I just went on and just did what I would normally do. So they put they tipped Ziggy up underneath over the halfway over the top of this wall.
Yeah.
I think there was a prop fella behind him with grabbing hold of his legs,
Right.
So he didn't fall forward while we were trying to shake the money out of his pockets. But if you watch it, and I watched it, I think I watched it yesterday. Throughout that scene, I'm doing everything I can not to laugh. I think you catch me. I think there's a bit where you see the side of my head, and I'm doing everything I can to fight back the fact that I'm cracking up. And we had to do it. I don't know how many times we had to do it, but I remember the director getting a little bit upset with us because we couldn't stop laughing and mucking about with it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And my mate Marcus was there with me as well, who played the other fella,
Yeah.
old mate
Yeah.
Marcus.
Brilliant. And while this is going on, Gonch then turns up and asked them what was wrong. And Big Tel said, well, he wants his money back. He'd given him a kit that was too small for him, and he was going to get a detention. So Gonch told him to come back at lunchtime, and he'd have kit for Big Tel. And Al was the character's name. Marcus's character
That's it. Yeah,
was Al. And we also saw Big Tel just coming away from the angry side. We saw Big Tel with Freddie Mannering talking to Mr. Robson about an all ability PE club, because that was a big thing with Mr. Robson. And as someone who I now work in a school, and I can completely understand Mr. Robson's point of view on this one. I remember as a kid thinking, nah, what's he doing that for? Even though I wasn't very good at PE, but as an adult now working in a school, I can completely understand where he's coming from. So he's talking about this all ability PE club, and they realised that there was going to be dancing on offer, and Big Tel wanted to know if Mr. Robson was going to be teaching the dancing to him. To which Mr. Robson said, "Do you find something funny in that, Terry?" But Big Tel didn't give an answer to him on that one there.
Yeah, saw that one. If you look at that one, Neil, if you have a little look at that particular scene, I watched it yesterday. I come in with a line. I can't remember what it is that I said, but the Freddy character kind of almost interrupts me and says something, and you watch me. I'll give him the dirtiest look you've ever seen. I cast him proper evil eyes.
Oh, the weird thing with this, right? So obviously his name's Terry, and it's Big Tel. But strangely enough, at the same time in Grange Hill, there was another character called Terry, which doesn't happen in soap operas very often at all. Because Sean Maguire was playing Tegs Ratcliffe.
Of course he was,
at the time. Yeah. And it's not massively important to the story, but it's just one of those little weird things that doesn't always happen in programs where they have two characters who, all right, they went by different monikers, shall we say, but they were still called Terry. Like,
yeah, he was a smashing kid. He was.
Could you tell at the time? You know, when you see someone like Sean Maguire, can you tell at the time how big they're going to become? Did he stand out to you at all? Anything like that?
He did. I mean, it's kind of difficult to be really sure about it, but he was a really good looking young lad, a really nice looking, well spoken. And he was a good actor back then. You knew you could, he was good at what he was doing. He was very good at what he was doing. I was never in a scene with him, I don't think, but he was a really nice lad to be around. He was such a nice fellow as well. Got on really well with him. Because I was a big fella again. He would, we just used to play about with him a lot, pick him up and throw him around and stuff. He'd love it. He'd have a great time with it. But I do have memories of throwing him around in the green rooms and stuff, in a nice kind of like friendly way, all kind of way. But he was a smashing fella. But he sticks out. I don't know whether it's because he went on to do as well as he did, and but he definitely he was definitely one of the bigger stars.
Yeah.
When he was around, you knew he was there. He was good looking, well spoken, good actor, good lad.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. So going back then to this PE kit, Gonch has told Big Tel and Al to go and meet him at lunchtime, and they do. And Big Tel gets given a rugby shirt with a stain on it, but it was at least clean and dry, which is what the lad said to them. He said he'd been to the laundrette at lunchtime. He said at least it's clean and dry, Tel. You know, these lads are walking around with damp shirts on because they hadn't had time to dry theirs. So Big Tel accepts it. But as they're walking away, Ziggy asked Tel if he could have his money back that he'd nicked off him out of his pockets, and Tel just told him to get lost. So they went to their PE lesson, and Mr. Robson then asked Big Tel where he'd got the rugby shirt from, and Tel said, "Well, it's mine." And Mr. Robson, he then told him that it was actually Mr. Robson's shirt and it had a blood stain on it from when Mr. Robson had lost a tooth playing rugby. And it turns out that Gonch had been into Mr. Robson's office and taken what he thought was just lost property, but he'd actually just taken a load of kits and the shirt had got mixed up with it. So that episode ended up with Big Tel chasing Ziggy, Gonch, and Robbie around the local area. And it's a weird one because the credits play over this chase scene. It's not like a usual where they used to show like little clips of like what had happened in that episode. You see them actually, the credits are playing, and it's all like comedy Scooby Doo type chasing where they're all running one way and then they're all running back the other way and stuff like that. And at this moment, Big Tel doesn't get his hands on Gonch at this moment. But while that's all going on, Gonch actually runs into Morley and the Gridiron crew, as they were at the time. And the credits ended up with Gonch being carried upside down by them. But the next episode, Big Tel went looking for Gonch in school, and he told Callie and Ronnie that to tell Gonch that he was going to get him. And at first, you don't think that he is going to get hold of him. But what did happen when Big Tel eventually caught up with Gonch?
Yeah.
And I know you know this because you mentioned this on X the other day.
Yeah, it is. It's a cracking scene. It was. I drank off this for years afterwards. That you see Gonch and is it Olo?
No, it would have been Ziggy or Robbie at this point.
Okay, at the and they're sorting out PE kits at a table just under a set of stairs in that like a corridor.
Yeah,
and it's very busy. There's a big crowd of kids scrambling to get tops off of him in it. The Gonch, I think he's kind of like turning around behind him and grabbing the kits and then going to the kids and then turning around and going to the kids, and he's trying to control it. And then it suddenly stops, and as he spins round, the camera then comes onto me. I think he says, doesn't he? Right, who's next?
Yeah.
And I turn around, and then the camera hits on me, and I grab him by the collar, and I go, Parker, Terence, Parker. I pull my head back, and then I launch into him, and it cuts away, obviously, just before I contact him. But my claim for fame for years after that was I headbutted Gonch.
Brilliant. Brilliant. But when something like that gets filmed, because obviously the motion to headbutt him is there, but then it cuts away. But you actually like follow through, or did you like? I mean, obviously you pull to the side or whatever, but you actually like follow through with it, like.
Yeah, you haven't got really much choice, have you? Got a bit of momentum going on. Yeah, I can't remember. I'd have to have a little look at it again. But I think for safety reasons, obviously, I think the actual motion of me throwing my head forward is him not being is me not holding him. I think they've cut it or done it in such a way that obviously I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think they'd have taken the chance on me following through and taking him out of the picture for a couple of months.
You see him later on. You see him like the next time you see Gonch, he's on the floor and there's blood everywhere. But yeah, brilliant. I love the fact that you did dine out on that for a good while. Like,
I did. Yeah, I really did.
But we didn't see Big Tel again until the next series, and in the next series, series 12, he's just in the one episode because the money making scheme had been the PE kits. But this time they were doing something different. It was almost like a computer dating service was the money making scheme in series 12. And they were putting the information together. And they wanted to get this information on the computer, but they couldn't read the name on it. And Gonch said it said Maureen. And then he comes up with this girl's name, Maureen Bailey. We never saw Maureen Bailey. But yeah, he said that's who it must be. And so he gives Tel the information about his date and told him it was Maureen. Now, it was all done by numbers. And the audience knew there was, when you watch it back, the audience know there's a mix-up because Tel was number 147. And he told Tel that his number was 233 and it was Maureen. But who was it actually?
That was my old mate Josh. It was a good pal of mine when we shot it. It was Mauler.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Mauler. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was the thing. I'd auditioned for Mauler.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I auditioned for Mauler, and I thought I had a chance of getting that. And that would have been in that series 10, I think it was, or
Yeah.
series 11, whichever it was. But
Uh-huh.
I auditioned for that part. But I got quite friendly with Josh Fenton, the lad who played Mauler.
Yeah.
He was a top lad. He was a really really nice fella,
Yeah.
really really nice fella. So being doing that little bit with him was great because I'd left Grange Hill at that point
Right.
after
Yeah.
the Big Tel stuff. I don't think they would. Obviously, they couldn't really use me as an extra
Uh-huh.
anymore, I think. And I think I'd turned 16 as well. So
Right.
they got rid of all the extras anyway when you turn 16 because I
Right.
think you had to pay them more. I'm pretty sure you had to pay them more. So I'd gone on and done something, and there was quite a gap for me in my life between the ending of that headbutting thing and the being asked to come back and do this thing with Mauler. So that was great as well.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of days. It was a couple of days we were there, because I was quite friendly with Josh at that stage. It was good fun doing that with him. Really enjoyed doing that.
So did they come to you then, did they? And say, can you come
Yeah.
back and do this? All right, brilliant. Brilliant. So we then see Morla and Big Tel standing by the bike sheds, waiting for their dates to show up. And then we see Ziggy and Robbie looking over and realizing that the only date they said that they had arranged for the bike sheds was Morla's, as far as they knew. So then they saw Big Tel and Morla talking about whether the dates would actually show up. And Morla was like, yeah, of course they're going to. They're probably just late because they're getting ready. So then tells Morley that his date was called Maureen. Now, I have to say, in that scene, Big Tel seems so happy. He seems so happy that he's been set up with someone. And, and it's just funny when he says, "Well, oh, mine's called Maureen," and he is the smile that you have there in that is brilliant. But then time passes. We don't know how much time has passed, but it's one of them where it just keeps cutting back to them, and it's getting darker and darker as well. And time passes,
Yeah,
and
there's a great bit when we're talking about the weather, isn't it? We both look
yeah,
up in the air, we're looking at the sky and saying, "Looks like rain."
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's funny
because
that.
it does. Yeah, the time's passing, and there's no girls showing up, and as you said, they're talking about the weather and stuff, and eventually they realise what had happened. Well, Big Tel realizes before Mauler does. Big Tel said he expected Maureen to be a blonde, but we never saw Big Tel again after that. I'm guessing that wasn't your decision then.
Uh, no, well, no. In terms of that, no, that they just, I don't think they found anything else.
Right.
It run its time. I've got to say, at the end of that scene, there's one of my favourite moments from that is Josh Fenton, the Mauler, looking up into the sky and screaming. What's he screaming? He screams "Gonch" or something like
Gardner, I think.
Gardner. That's what. Yeah, yeah. He screams Gardner, and you got a top shot of him screaming it, and he
Yeah.
really give it his lungs. Give it his lungs, and yeah, no, that was kind of the end of that. Like I say, I'd moved on to a slightly different kind of stage in my life by the time that they asked me to come back and do that as well. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember feeling upset or anything that the character had gone or my time had
Uh-huh.
ended. It just, like I said before, Neil, I can't look back on it and have anything other than happy memories about the whole experience.
Yeah.
It was top draw.
And you've mentioned Josh Fenton there. Was there anyone else that you were particularly like good mates with?
It was kind of strange because as an extra, you were you were in a very separate group, obviously
Yeah.
to the main actors, and it wasn't like a clicky thing. It was I've had this conversation before, bloody 20 years or so ago, but it wasn't like a clicky thing. But you were very different, and you weren't treated differently, but you were managed in a different kind of way. And there was the cast, the main cast were quite separate from the extras. I
Yeah.
mean, you still mingled around, and after there was I think there was definitely a bit of a hierarchy amongst the extras and the background kids. If the longer you'd been there, the more your face was known, and
Yeah.
the more you'd kind of like know the rest of the cast. And kids are kids ultimately. If kids are kids and they hang about with each other, they chat with each other. They don't
Yeah.
really care who you are or what your role is or whatever. So there wasn't exactly a hierarchy or a clique like that, but it was a very separate existence. It was definitely a separate existence. But obviously I'd been an extra for a couple of years. bit of a lad. I wasn't the straightest kid. I was, so you'd get up to a bit of mischief, and when you're that kind of character, you find you're naturally drawn to other kids who are a little bit
Yeah.
mischievous.
Like locking the toilets and stuff.
Yeah, exactly that kind of stuff. So I had some mates that I would hang about with the extras as well, and there were a few cast members, and I won't embarrass any of them by saying who they were because I don't think that's exactly fair. But there were definitely a few in the peer group that I was with that were cheeky lads as well, if you like. I'll put it this way to you, Neil. I wasn't alone having a smoke in the toilets.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
You know what I mean? I was not alone having a smoke in the toilet. So there were a few of the other main characters that were just as cheeky, I
Yeah.
suppose. But yeah, Josh and the other lad that I knew was one of Josh's other gridiron fellas.
Yeah.
The little lad Ian
Ian,
Condon
yeah.
Lee.
Yeah.
He was a smashing fella. He
He's
was.
a good lad, Ian. Yeah.
I kind of I knew Ian before Grange Hill as well because we'd met each other on a couple of auditions. He was
All right.
he was over in Ruislip. I think yeah, he was over in Ruislip way, and I was in Stanmore, so we weren't that far away from each other, and we knew each other in Grange Hill as well, and we used to hang about kind of together. Went out socially a few times as well.
Mhm.
I went to I think it was Ian, but we went to the Camden Palais with him and a few of the other casts.
Right.
First acid house party I'd ever gone to.
Brilliant.
15 or 16 we would have been, and there were a few. Again, I'll not mention the names because I wouldn't want to say that anyone was anywhere at all. But there were a few of the other main cast were there with us as well.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
yeah, and yeah, yeah, Josh was a good lad. Josh and Ian Condon Lee, they were the two fellas I knew best in it, I suppose.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. So after Grange Hill, like I said earlier, there's then nothing else on that IMDb page. Now I'm going to say David Bell. It's not exactly an uncommon name, is it? So like I knew a lad called David Bell growing up, and when I've looked on that IMDb page for the Big Tel page, I think you're entry 19 of David Bell on there. That one, like, so
Yeah.
there's nothing else on there. So what did you do?
Well, I stuck with the acting thing for a little bit. I joined a YTS theatre group in Holloway.
Right.
And again, it wasn't something we took very seriously. It was more a case of trying to find something to do after school, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the YTS, the youth training scheme, I fell into this thing. It was only around the corner from where my old nan lived, just off the Holloway Road. And did that for a couple of years, and that was awful, but it was a lot of fun. Had the first serious girlfriend there, Boo, bless her. And we did a couple of things with that. The thing with that one, the only reason I really mention that is that we put together a play, if you want to call it that. It was a terrible bloody thing. But we took it on a little mini tour,
All
and
right.
we ended up going down to Plymouth with this little tour thing of this play we did. And that was at the same time as the episode of Me and Grange Hill came out with Mauler,
Right.
and I got recognised.
Wow.
The only time in my life I've ever been recognised. We were down in this. It must have been some little community theatre or something, some leisure centre or something or other. But yeah, I remember getting recognised because they'd shown that on TV like the day before or whatever, and there was this bunch of young kids or kids a little bit younger than me, and they came after me. I got fan mail, Neil.
Really? Wow.
Fan mail. I've still got them somewhere, but I had like about 5 or 6 letters from kids asking for autographs. I mean, I couldn't get my head around that at all.
Yeah.
Could not get my head around that at all. And yeah, so anyway, I did a bit of a sidebar there for you. But yeah, I stuck with that for a couple of years. We went up and did the Edinburgh Festival. Again, not the strongest memories of that because it was just a lot of fun. But I stuck with that for a couple of years, and then I ended up working down at Butlins in Bognor on the stage crew. It was like a similar. I wanted to kind of stick within that part of the industry, I suppose, and ended up doing that. I was there for 4 years. That was my university,
Right.
Butlins, best university I've ever been to. Best years of my life. 4 years down there. And then drifted around for probably about 10 or so years after that. got into clubbing, went and lived in the Canary Islands and the Balearics, sold timeshare, was a bit of a scally, I think you call them up there, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a lad knocking around town. Came back from there, ended up bizarrely as a nurse for a while. That was
Right.
a very strange period in my life. And then about 25 or years, yeah, about 25 maybe years ago, maybe plus, I moved back up to London, and through a connection of my old man's, I ended up working for a security company that did film security on film sets.
All right.
So did that for a couple of years, and then rose up the ranks within that into the location department in film industry. Worked as a and last 25 years I've been a unit manager, location manager on feature films in the UK and
Such
across the
as,
world.
such as, which films have we?
Yeah, it's tricky because I knew
Mm.
you'd ask me this. So I'll send you the link to my IMDb page because I've
All
got
right.
about 50
Okay.
or so credits. But if you're looking for the big titles, then a couple of the Fast and Furiouses,
All right.
Hobbs and Shaw, a couple of Jurassic Worlds,
Brilliant.
that kind of caliber. A lot of more interesting British films. I think the first big film that I did was The King's Speech.
Yeah. Wow.
And then what else have I done? A load of. I'm fortunate enough to do about four Stephen Frears films. The director Stephen Frears, he's an exceptional man.
Yeah.
Brilliant films with him, Philomena and Victoria and Abdul, and that one about Meryl Streep when she's the opera singer, whatever that one's called.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know exactly the one you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, cracking film. I've been
Yeah.
very lucky. I just fell into that completely by accident, and it's treated me very well. It's travelled me around the world. I've worked in many different countries over the years. Most of the work has been in the UK. Bridgerton did that for a little
Yeah.
while as well. Yeah, just about 25-year career in the film industry, but just in obviously behind the camera,
Yeah.
very behind the camera in location management. You're much more to do with generators and toilets than you are to do with anything glamorous. But yeah, basically logistics and facilitating film crews and stuff.
I
So
get you.
I've been doing that for
Yes.
25.
So you're not involved in picking the locations. It's just a case of when you're there, you're looking after everyone. Is that what it is?
Combination of the two, really. As
Right.
a unit manager, which has been the bulk of my career, then you kind of really just making the location work. The director will go out and work with a location manager and a designer and producer to find a location that
Uh-huh.
suits from a script, and then you work out how you're going to facilitate that, how you're going to get 1,000 people in and out
Yeah.
without destroying the place.
Yeah.
But equally, I've done quite a bit of work as a location manager itself as well. So finding the locations, scouting them, presenting them to the people that you need to, and then getting them chosen. And then, getting, like I say, the key thing is getting a film crew, getting 1,000 people, 1,000 egos in
Yeah.
and out of a historic palace or something,
Yeah.
stately home or whatever, without them completely destroying it.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything up here in Liverpool?
Yeah, a couple of things. Yeah, good few things. Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
know,
Sherlock Holmes,
yeah, that was a big one.
first big Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie one. We were
Yeah.
up in Liverpool for that. I did the two of them. I think we were there. I think we did Liverpool for both of those down by the docks.
Yeah.
What else have I done in Liverpool? I've done a couple of other things in Liverpool. Liverpool's a great location.
Yeah.
It's a terrific location for filming. What was the other thing I did? I was up there a couple of years ago as well.
I know that, well, I mean, it might not have been this, but one of the Batman films was up here that they used quite
That
a
was up
bit
there
there.
recently.
Yeah.
We use Liverpool gets used a lot because it's got some terrific buildings, and you can
Yeah.
cheat America up there as well. You can do a Chicago or New
Yeah.
York in Liverpool really easily.
Yeah.
And it's got the infrastructure up there to support it. There's
Mhm.
an abundance of hotels that are quite easy to put the crew up into, and it's got a workforce up there. It's got a terrific security company up there. Old Keith the Thief,
Yeah.
good lad, Keith. And local talent up there as well that work as film crew when you're up there.
Uh-huh.
A big pool of supporting artists, which is always good as well. People who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's always a pull factor to go up there. And there's some really good financial concessions for going up to Liverpool as well. It's a very helpful council to work for,
Yeah.
and work with. Traffic and highways are always very useful and very good to work with. So you get quite a few driving sequences and what have you filmed in Liverpool because it's easy to close the roads and control
Yeah.
control the roads and stuff up there. The same with Manchester. Manchester's got the same the same pool, and Glasgow is similar as well. I'd say Liverpool, Glasgow, and Manchester are the three key places outside of London
Uh-huh.
that you get to go to for larger feature films
Yeah.
now. And long may it continue. Lovely place.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Do you ever miss the acting?
No, God, no. I was awful. You've only got to look back at the episodes there, Neil. I was terrible.
No, no.
Not a big surprise that I didn't pursue a career in acting. I was bloody awful. No, no, not at all. No, absolutely not at all. And in the industry that I've worked in, and in the kind of role that I've worked in, the most important thing about my job is to keep as far away from the actors as you possibly can. They are very difficult people to work with.
Yeah, right. So fair play. Um, okay. Well, David, we are coming towards the end of the interview now, and I'm going to ask you the same few questions I always ask at the end of every episode. So, a couple of years ago, there was talk in the press of a Grange Hill movie in the works. We haven't heard anything for ages, so it looks like it's probably been shelved, funding or whatever. What do you think of the idea of a Grange Hill movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a terrific idea. I really like the idea of it, but I don't think it's a viable option. I'm not sure that they would be able to come up with a script that encompassed the history of Grange Hill into a kind of 90-minute format that would do it justice. And I
Uh-huh.
think despite the ambition and despite the nostalgia that's associated with it, that's a really difficult script to come up with. And that, as a difficult script to come up with, that's a really difficult film to finance.
Yeah.
So I don't see, with my film hats on,
Yeah.
I don't see how it is presented as a viable option in a financial return.
Right.
I mean, there'll be a pull for it. There's a capture audience, definitely, but it's quite a limited audience. And I
Mhm.
think to make it viable, I think if you were going to do it as a movie, you'd have to make it as a brand new scenario without any of the original cast, other
Yeah.
than doing like cameo type appearances.
Yeah.
It'd have to be done within a school structure, and I think you couldn't go back. I don't think you could recreate or do a back in time kind of feature of it. Although that would be a lot of fun, and I don't know outside of like a TV enterprise. I'm not sure that I would see how that is sold
Uh-huh.
to a company or producer that's going to be willing to put the finance behind it. Is the
Yeah.
short answer. It's a very long short answer.
So you just mentioned cameos there. So if you were asked, would we see a return of Big Tel?
Yeah, if there was a headbutt scene, 100%.
Anyone in
They want,
particular you want to
they
headbutt?
want, listen, anyone at all. I'll headbutt anyone. Neil, I'm not fussy, mate. You show me someone, I'll headbutt
Brilliant.
them.
Brilliant. Okay, so you've said that you watch Grange Hill, and you've mentioned a couple of characters earlier on, but other than Big Tel, who was your favourite character in Grange Hill? Any era?
Two really easy to answer. Two of them. Tucker
Yeah.
has to be. You can't have Granger without Tucker. He's got to be in the conversation.
Uh-huh.
Tucker Jenkins is the reason I had a leather jacket.
Right.
And the other one who had the biggest impact on me in the older series was Gripper. Gripper was just, yeah, astonishing. Every school had a Gripper. We definitely had a Gripper, and you watch it back now, and it holds. He's a really menacing,
Yeah.
believable character, and he's of his time. I know it may not have dated particularly brilliantly, but you could put that character and that actor at that time in any scenario, and he pulls that off. That was a menacingly brilliant performance.
Yeah.
In modern times, in my era, the two top lads, of course, were Ziggy and Gonch.
Yeah.
Your mate George was just the standout character. Him and John Holmes, him and Gonch, Ziggy and Gonch were the two standout characters of that era,
Yeah.
and they deserve all the applause that they get because they were sensational. Both of them were brilliant in the program, and they were massive. They were the reason that the program was as successful as it was in that
Yeah.
particular time. They were sensational. They were absolutely terrific, and the girls, of course, the girls
But
were.
you might not know this. So there was Just Say No, the record, the song, the single. Did you know there was another single released with Ziggy and Gonch on lead vocals?
Yeah, I've got a memory of it definitely, and I've listened back to a couple of your podcasts recently. What the one with the recent one with with George and the recent one and the one you had with John as well. And I know you
Yeah.
give mention to it there, and I will when I finish this. I'm going to have a little look at it, and I do remember it because I remember the Grange Hill albums from that era
Yeah.
as well. You know the books you'd get at Christmas as well,
Yeah.
and I do definitely remember. I couldn't sing it to you.
No. It's honestly, I always say this. It's one of the most 80s songs you will ever hear in your life as well. So you said that you auditioned for the part of Morley. So
Yeah,
if you couldn't have played Big Tel, which other character would you like to have played?
it's a great question. Uh, but probably Gunch.
Yeah.
I would have said Gunch. God, because he was just such a fun fellow, and
Yeah.
the crazy ideas and stuff that he came up with. I reckon I could have sold toast at lunch. Who couldn't sell toast at lunch?
Brilliant. Okay. So the final question then, David, and I know you've touched on this quite a bit in the interview, is why do you think there is still such affection for Grange Hill?
It's a difficult one to explain to a generation now, but
Mhm.
as I said before, this was in a time, and there was a time, believe it or not, there was a time before the internet, there was a time before mobile phones, there was a time when there was only three channels, and then there were four channels, and so it had a massively captive audience because that was all you could watch, and you couldn't watch it on repeat. You couldn't then watch it on catch up. I mean, the original Grange Hill, the first few series, would be in a time before people had videos, or most people had video recorders as well. Um, and so it holds its own for those kind of like logistical reasons, and for the fact that it was only consumed at the time. And when you consume the small little snippets of entertainment like that at the time, they're that special to you. It's the reason why we look back nostalgically at so much from that era. It's the reason why I'll still watch a Morecambe and Wise Christmas special on telly when it comes up.
Yeah.
It's because it was that rare. The content was that limited, and it was that brilliantly written. But also, as I said before, it struck early because it represented what life was like at school,
Yeah.
and it was the first time that had been done. Nothing really had been existed before that. There'd been efforts, I suppose, to kind of like portray kids or what have you, but that was the first. It was the first time your life as a kid in school, for the majority of us.
Yeah.
I'm assuming like yourself, you went to like a comp or that kind of thing, and kids who didn't go to a private school, but for life in an ordinary school with all the trials and tribulations that came with it, all the dramas, all the and I can't pay too much credit as well to the teachers in those early seasons as well. They were as important as the kids were.
Yeah.
Everyone knew a Mrs. McCluskey. Everyone knew the PE teacher. Everyone had a PE teacher like that. And
Yeah.
when Bronson came in, everyone knew. Well, look, when I was a kid, every school had a Mr. Bronson as well,
Yeah.
and it was just that real. I mean, Phil Redmond obviously was an extremely talented, gifted man in the material that he wrote, and coming from Liverpool like he did, as of that time, with so many of those other kind of like great northern writers of that time, they managed to capture the reality of life so brilliantly, and it,
Yeah.
it touched people, and it represented what you were, and that was really important. Nothing had really done that before, and it was good fun.
Yeah. Well, David, thank you so much for agreeing to come on. And as I say, 4 day turnaround from saying to me in your original reply, I'm not sure whether I'll be much good. I'm not sure. I was only in it for 5 episodes. So now being on it 4 days later, honestly, I can't thank you enough. And I've really, really enjoyed, listening to your experiences, not just on Grange Hill, but now in the wider film industry as well. It's been brilliant speaking to you. So thank you once again.
My pleasure, Neil. It's been. I'm really grateful to you for taking me down a path I've not been down for a long time, and bringing back a lot of very, very happy memories. God bless you, mate.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And to anyone that's listening, I'll speak to you next time. Cheers. Thanks. Bye bye.